So welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander, and today we're taking a look at a brand new game in a brand new series. So this is called Nevsky, and it's Teutons and Rus in Collision. And this is 1240 to 1242. So this is a period of history I don't know a lot of us have played war games on. This new game is designed by Volko Runke, just put out by GMT Games. When those two entities team up, usually you're going to get something that's very interesting and very fun to play with. Now, we did do an interview about this game. Gosh, that was at Origins 2 years ago, maybe? This game's been a long time in the works, so seeing it finally on a table, this is very exciting. It is a big 3-inch box from GMT. It's fairly hefty. There's a lot of stuff in here. The new series is called the Levian Campaign Series, and it says Volume 1. In theory, if this does well, which it already has pretty much, there's going to be more titles, that use this core system, and maybe I might see it modified for different campaigns and situations. But you see on the back here, this is a 5 complexity, which I know a lot of people think this is fairly arbitrary. It's a 1 to 2 player game. Does it say how long it is? No, they don't. I wonder if it says inside. Sometimes in the playbook they're like, oh, this scenario is like 2 hours, but it doesn't say on the back. But this is a very different style of game from anything most of us have ever played. Okay. Grant has had a look through here, so I'm not going to vouch for it being a mess. Just to see, because it's such a cool new product. The first thing we have is a little sheet of paper that says, important Nevsky correction with our apologies for the error. On the player aid fold-outs, force tables, men-at-arms row, strike column to the right on the sword and shield icon place. Okay. So there's an error which they've corrected on here, but that we're going to have to either, I don't know, remember that on the play aid or maybe kind of stick that to it just so we don't forget. That's always a little bit disheartening that the printers make mistakes like that. So this is 24 pages, 4 of which look like they're scenarios. Living campaign, background book. So we have, it's not called a playbook anymore, it's a background book. There's a whole bunch of history in there, I'm hoping, because I'll be honest, I know nothing about this. So, rules of play look to be fairly typical of what you would expect from a GMT rulebook. Nice color examples and explanations, but the text is dense where it is. This is nice. We use screens, and this is interesting where it tells you how to do bits and pieces, like how to sit around a table, how to set it up for like optimum play. Obviously, they've tested this a lot and know how to play it well. Campaign. Yeah, that looks fairly manageable. 20 pages of rules is never daunting. That's fairly easily consumable. However, this is a very new system, so it's not like I can sit there and kind of skim parts. I'm going to be reading every section again and again and again. There's a whole bunch of different scenarios, which looks like you're playing like, this is the calendar setup and scenario spans. This is just this part of the game, so maybe 1 or 2 turns. This is maybe 5 turns over here. Full campaign, just the end 4 turns, half a game, different situations. So there's at least some, you can do a learning game with the short scenarios. You can play around different lengths depending on how much time you have. So that's nice that that's a little bit malleable. Okay, so the background book has some solitaire. No, it doesn't have a solitaire system, but a single player readily can handle both sides. Set the table up as suggested in the illustration, and alternate doing the rolls by normal sequence of play. The only information that one side hides from the other will be held event cards. Okay, so they just play both sides reasonably well. And disband. This is all examples of play, which I will probably sit down and play through. Set it up, and you figure out how to make all the things work. So it's more than just words on a page in the rule books. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff because this is a very different system. Campaign synopsis, and then we got the histories. The histories of all the different lords in the game. The timeline. Oh, this is nice. The timeline. So this is the actual kind of turn track. They've blown it up and put like, this is what happened in this particular period, and all the different battles and who was levied, all this different stuff. So that's really neat. A lot of reading to be done here, I think. So that's nice. I like that. And this... Oh, this is cool. So, for example, on the event cards, it's, you know, it says, this is what you do. Well, this is a Ballistari. Here you've got tips of kind of how to use them, as well as what it actually means. But then it's got the history behind it. Well, here's what was actually the case. Here's why something may be in combat effective. That's why the ability does what it does. That's really neat. I really like that. Lots and lots of reading to be done. And the same for the Russians. Russian capabilities. And then some design notes as well. And then selected sources if you want to do more deep reading. So this is nice. I like that a lot. And that's going to be a very helpful aid, I think. So we have here a sheet of stickers, and these are circle stickers. We're going to put these on little wooden cylinders. But these are very nice looking. The detail on them. Always like it when you have those kind of... Let's make sure. Those kind of... what would you call those? Emblems. That's what we'll call them. Alright, this is play aid number 1. Play aid fold out. So we have, these are both look to be identical, so one player is going to have one each. And what did we say? The men-at-arms, steel, -2. Okay. So the correction is this part here where it says times a half for this. I don't know if this is an attack value, I'm not sure. It should be times 1 when it's, I guess. So that's what this correction is that's printed on the play aids. Other than that, there's a fairly decent amount to digest on there, so hopefully we're not getting overwhelmed. Very detailed sequence of play. This is a huge win for me. I really enjoy a game that has this, because I can read the rules and I can be like, this is the order we're doing a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of different subsets and references to the rules if you need them, so very much appreciate that. And we've got 2 of those, that's also a good thing. Alright, this is, it may be some kind of a, I don't know if these are holding boxes. Yeah, Teutons and Russians. I'm unsure exactly, or if this is abilities that different leaders have, and it looks cool though, that's for sure. Reference sheet. Maybe it's just a reference sheet as to who can do what and where and when kind of a thing. We have the Arts of War Russian deck, and presumably the Teuton deck. So I think this is a reference as to what's in the deck, who, what, where, and when as well, so that you can maybe do a little bit of poker and card counting, that kind of stuff, to see what's come up and what hasn't. This is a sheet, a screen, I apologize. There's 2 of these, and these are, oops, different. Look how cool the artwork is. So here we've got this huge flotilla. That's awesome. And on the back of it we have Frozen City. Looks like a big fortified fortress. That's so awesome. And this one we have a huge field battle. That just, doesn't that look so cool? And on the back we have, what looks like the same place as this. Maybe not. Is it the same? A different depiction of the same place? Maybe. Either way, those are very cool looking. So you got some screens that you're going to be hiding stuff behind, but I don't exactly know how. And then we have 3 sheets of counters. Now these are... It's not a coin game, but the counter sheet reminds me of one where you've got all the pre-rounded ones over here. You have a few small ones which aren't pre-rounded, And then you have a couple markers, which is kind of circles and other shapes. And we have here, it's conquered, so you're going to get victory points, some ravaged markers, loot, coin, and then just some markers for who's doing what, I guess. More markers that correspond to different leaders and what kind of state they're in, or who they are, like this guy's Herman. Nguania auxiliaries, 1 light horse, 1 militia. I guess that's what that means. We'll get to learn some of the iconography here. And then we've got some sleds, boats, more sleds, more of these markers as well. Knights and horses and serfs and things like that. A lot of stuff in here. So 3 counter sheets, but it's not 3 full counter sheets. So that we're not going to need that much space. We have a mounted board, and this is a smaller board, which we'll look at here in just a second. Well, maybe we'll take a gander right now. Let's do that. No, we won't. Alright. So we have a bag of dice, 3 white, 3 black. We have 4 decks of cards. So we have the Arts of War, and we have, I want to say it's the Teutons and the Rus. Remember, we had those play aids that showed us the disposition of what's in that deck. So you can look and say, they have these capabilities in these decks, it's just when are they going to come up. So as you get more advanced in the game, that's, you're going to get there. But each of these decks of cards, it's dual optional things. What are you going to choose? Which one? And I don't know if you have to have the corresponding leader out to be able to trigger either side of it. I would imagine that's the case. Yeah, here it says any. I presume any leader can do this. Whereas at the bottom, it has to be one of these guys, probably. Hopefully it's not all 4. Otherwise, that would be probably fairly crippling. And it's the same for these guys as well. So you got 2 of those small decks. And then 2 of these command decks. Again, also Teutons and Rus. And these just look like... Let's open these up. Looks like you 3, 1, 2, 3. They have a numeric value in the top right and the top left. They have some kind of a corresponding leader or area, and then it's, I don't know if this is who can be activated or what. I'm not entirely sure who can be commanded when and where. But there's a lot of those, and then the same for the rest as well. We have a big bag of wood. Then we'll just get some of it out, because there's a lot in here. Okay, and this is very, very different kind of wooden pieces than in most games. There's a lot of different shapes in here. So we have these white cylinders, there's black cylinders. Those are the ones we're going to put those stickers on. Those are going to be our leaders. But there's also, I'm pretty sure these are steel. I don't know if these correspond to units, if it's like cavalry and infantry, or if it's different resources. Because in here, okay, here we go. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't. So serfs are these tan pieces, brown are militia, the steel are men-at-arms, the buff ones are Asiatic horse, the brown ones are light horse, the steel triangle ones are sergeants, and the silver ones are knights. So there's a lot of different pieces, but those are all references. There's a couple of purple meeples in here. I presume those are just for marking who's doing what, where, and when. Those are usually just reference pieces. And we have 2 sets, both Russian and Teuton, of these leaders. These are the guys that you're trying to levy. I think this is what's going to go behind those screens. Let's just check real quick. Where was that? Yes, I believe so. So the guys that you levy and like create and put onto the board, you're going to have out behind your screen. And you can activate some of those cards that correspond to them and give them abilities and things. And it's for that guy. And then it's how many forces do he have? Does this guy command? But a lot of that is hidden information from your opponent behind a screen. So there's a lot of neatness there. as well, and the Teutons have the same thing. So these are big rounded. Oh, this is an attack board. This is an attack and a defense. And do they have one as well? No, that's just a generic combat board that we'll use. But we have these for the Teutons. These are nice, thick. These are bigger than a coaster. These are fairly large in size. Don't put your cups on them. You don't want to do that. All right. The last thing we've got in here is the map, and this is a smaller sized map. You saw with that little diagram with all these different those leaded tables and all the charts and things like that, and the screens. You need a decent play area. But most of it is not taken up with the board. The board is only, I think this is a 22 by 17 is what I want to say. But normally 22 by 17s you do this way. This one goes up and down because it has the point-to-point map of the combat, of like the region. So you have Teutonica and Russia. And so it's fighting back and forth. But the real, a lot of the game is going to be up here, where you're going to levy guys, and then you have to pay them at some point. Otherwise, they'll bugger off home, and you'll lose half your army. So a lot of the game is how many guys can you keep out for how long? How much can you press that? Because you're going to become combat ineffective if you can't manage how many guys you're getting out on the board, when and where. And that's where the big campaign's going to shine, is manipulating this to keep this going, to be able to get your victory together. So there is a lot of stuff here. This is really neat. It looks cool to play around with, like Novgorod. This is just a really nice, I don't know, I like this diagram. I like this style of artwork. My grandfather's from Belarus originally, so we have in the house I grew up in some of these different trinkets that have this style on it, and it's just something that's very cool and also very different for a war game. So I am excited to play this. A lot of people have already kind of tried sinking their teeth into it, and I have good reports from it, so I'm excited. It does sound cool, also very, very different. Everyone's going to become an expert on 13th century Teutonic combat, in Russia over the next year. So we'll hear a lot of that over the table, which is refreshing. But I am pumped to play this. I have, it's going to be a rules learning experience because so much of this is new. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Want to dig into here if this is a theme that appeals to you. I'm just kidding. No one's ever heard of this theme before, let's be honest. But this is from Volko, so there's a lot of research and a lot of stuff's gone into it, and I will always give anything he designs a try, if only for that reason. I know I'm going to learn a hell of a lot from it. So, once again, appreciate you guys tuning in. This is Nevsky from GMT. It is available on their website. Check it out if it's something you're interested in. A lot of people are going to be playing this one over the next few months and years, so you will have an opportunity if you just want to dip your foot in and find someone else to play with. So, appreciate you guys tuning in. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.